Today's today's vocab seminar is on mental health. Okay. And those of you who have never been into one of these sessions before, we've done a lot of really helpful and hard to tackle topics with more difficult vocabularies. First one was COVID-19. We tried our first talk on that. And then last month we did BLM, Black Lives Matter. And this month we are going to do mental health. So I just want to run through a few things before we start. On slide 2. Uh, slide 2. Slide 2, guys. So what to expect from the session. First off, that I just want to introduce everyone. I have TAs. The TAs that are helping us today is Peg and Futon. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead, tag them in the chat, and they will be addressed. And we'll also save them for the Q&A time at the very end, because I do know that we are trying to record for this class, and if we have time, we can try some activities and stuff like that. But then I ask that while I present the material and how to how to speak the vocab, push to talk is on, but do not use push to talk. I'm gonna try to keep it as clean and least amount of editing as possible for everyone. Now, the other thing is that for the class guidelines and rules, we're going to go to slide 3. This session is no way meant to be a discussion or replacement for medical attention. This is just simply a vocabulary seminar that we're going to do my best to unpack all the hard words that we might not be able to use in our everyday conversation. So when you guys absorb these difficult words, it'll be as easy as possible. You guys will learn as much as possible in this 1 hour. If there are any disruptive behavior or inappropriate comments, this will get you removed from the session immediately. We have a very low tolerance for stuff like that, because we do see that this is a very serious matter. And the other thing is that we are trying to make it a safe space for everyone. So if you guys wish to talk for the Q&A part, or if you have time, I just want you guys to make sure that you guys not use push to talk. And if there's any questions, go ahead, ask the TAs. They'll be happy to help you. So let's go to the very next slide. We'll go to slide 4. And if you guys like this content, keep me community funded, support me. I have a coffee link. Go help me out. It'd be great to see all the support, but if not, just come say hi. Don't be a stranger. Always happy to talk about Cantonese to anyone, even though you're not an official student at SCU for the semester. So let's go to slide 5 and let's start. So the title of this slide is discussing the importance of mental health, and I labeled it as 說心理健康的重要性. Okay, 說心理健康的重要性. That's basically me just talking. Let's talk about the importance of mental health. And mental health has a few names for it. Okay, so let's start that off. You can say 精神健康. Okay, and I encourage everyone, I'll repeat the words a few times slowly. Listen to me the first time, okay? And then when I say it again, try to mimic me as much as possible, whether it's tones, enunciation, pronunciation. Even though I may not hear you, I want you guys to just try and speak it and just use this chance to absorb all the words. No matter where you are, it might be in your family living room or in your bedroom, wherever you are on the bus, just say it. Okay, don't let this chance slip by you. So let's try that again. Mental health. First one. 精神健康. 精神健康. 係啦, okay. The other name for it is 心理健康. 心理健康. So 健康 is health. Okay. 精神 is what we say as a spiritual or mental energy kind of thing, your mind. versus samleira is not actually talking about our heart here, but keep in mind that Chinese people see the heart as the body part that thinks rather than our brain. So when we say samleira is really discussing that psychology aspect, or like what your mind is thinking, okay? So you have the mental energy aspect, 精神, and also have like the mind aspect, 心理. So our next word here is mental health condition. And we can say 精神病, 精神病, or 心理病, 心理病. And then just simply taking the word mental, 精神, and 心理, and then adding the word 病 to it, which means sickness. So yes, there might be, through language perspective, a stigma to it, because bang means illness, whereas in English we say simply condition to remove that stigma. We have also mood disorder, and like the same pattern, it is 情緒病. Let's try that again. 情緒病. And then everyone pay attention to the second word. So there's no SH sound. It's not so, it's so. So for those of you who have difficulty pronouncing the S sound in Cantonese, try to think it as a hybrid between SH and SY. You want to purse your cheeks together, stiffen them a little bit, and push your breath out. So, okay, jaw lowers a little bit. So, like that. 情緒病. Now, let's keep moving along. Avoid taboo is 非gay, 非gay. So avoid is 非, taboo is gay. Now, avoid taboo, it was very directly translated, and we use this word in Chinese when we are avoiding the object or subject that we're talking about, the subject, and it's taboo, okay? Next word, understanding. There's a few ways to say it. So understanding as a noun is 認知, 認知. 認知. So the difference between the next one, 認識, 認識 is that 認知 is a noun, whereas 認識 is a noun and a verb. So how do we use this 認知 as a, okay? So first of all, we use the word 有, we have, and it's something that we face. It's a intangible concept that we face. So 對, and then whatever the subject is, 有認知 or 有認識 means that you have understanding or knowledge about that subject. So use the word 對. 我對呢樣嘢有認知 or 有認識. Okay, 認識 flows a little bit better too. So 有認識. So we have last word on the slide is EQ. To be honest, Cantonese, with our heavy English usage, we do throw around the word EQ a lot. Rather than a four-lettered word, four-character word, 情緒相數, 情緒相數. Okay, we have again 情緒啦, is emotion, like 情緒病. 相數啦, quotient. So break it down into two parts. You get 情緒相數. Easy, right? Good. Oh, good job. Let's move on to the next slide, slide 6. This slide is talking about conditions, okay? And the word for condition is 病徵, 病徵. Good. Now let's go through the whole list. So the first one is autism. Autism is 自閉症，大家跟我講 copy me, okay? 自閉症 The other one right after, okay, OCD, 強迫症強迫症 Good. Okay. Depression. 好多筆畫喎 A lot of strokes in that one. It's a very complicated word. 憂鬱症憂鬱症 Let's look at bipolar disorder. 躁鬱症躁鬱症 Awesome. Okay. ADHD. Qua độ活躍症qua độ活躍症 A long one, right, guys? So give this one another shot. 過度活躍症 Awesome. Okay, another long one. Asperger's. 亞氏保加症亞氏保加症 Okay, go back to a shorter one. Paranoia. 妄想症妄想症 PTSD 創傷後遺症創傷後遺症 Last one, anxiety. 焦慮症焦慮症 Awesome. Okie dokie. So let's take apart some of these words so we remember them easier and we know what they really mean. And from some of the other vocab sessions that we've done in the past, and I think I've mentioned that Chinese doesn't translate English like how other Asian languages might. They don't take the sound of it and just simply use Chinese character to substitute the sound. We oftentimes translate the meaning behind the words, kind of like how we take apart like Latin kind of thing, that kind of style. So when you guys remember what the English word means, it's very easy to think of the Chinese vocabulary word for it. So let's start from the first one, autism. And the first word, 自閉症嘅自 means self. And 閉 means to close. So self-close, 自閉症. Okay. And remember, yes, we are not talking about what each one, like mental health in depth as a topic itself, but we're just simply talking about the vocabulary. So if you guys are making notes, I suggest you guys to keep all the word meanings in each of these vocabulary listed out so you guys help cue it for yourselves in the future, okay? So OCD, 強迫症. 強迫, first of all, separate 強 is the word for strong. 迫 means to force. So 強迫症 means to like strong force. So you're like forcing someone else to do something or yourself, like, you know, that enforcement word. 迫,強迫症. Okay. Depression. 憂鬱症. 憂鬱. 憂 is the word for worry. 憂心或者憂慮 And then what is the word for to fold up and basically compact. Okay, so obviously this is very easily translated into what depression might be. Okay, and or the parts behind depression. And when we look at bipolar disorder is 躁鬱症. So the what is the same kind of what. But 躁, what does 躁 really mean? 躁 is what Cantonese or Chinese translates to angry, frustration, and short-tempered kind of behavior. So 躁, and then you have what. So even though that might seem very different, they do fit the bipolar disorder definition quite well. We have ADHD next. So ADHD, yes, it is a little bit longer. Let's take it apart. One word by one word. 過度活躍症. Okay. 過度 is over or extra, beyond a point, because 過 means over, 度 means degree or extent or point. So beyond that point, 活躍 means active. Okay, so 過度活躍症 is essentially translating hyperactivity. Okay, 過度活躍症, hyper or beyond that point. Okay, 過度, and then 活躍 means activity or active. 症, and again, 症 means condition, illness. Asperger's. This one is the one that's translated directly from how it sounds like it. So, 阿是無家症. There's no meaning behind it. The reason why we translate it is because then it's someone's name. There's nothing to show the meaning of when we're translating someone's, I guess, a syndrome that's named after a certain important individual, right? So that's very straightforward. 阿是無家症. 阿是無家症. Asperger. Now, next one. 妄想症. 妄想. And then 想 is to think, right? 妄想 the 妄字 means like to think of things that aren't there or to think in very wild ideas. Okay, 妄想. Very crazy, unsustainable, just wild. 妄想症. PTSD. So PTSD is 創傷後遺症. 創傷 means trauma. 後遺 means aftermath. 後 does mean post, and 遺 means 遺留個遺. So whatever that's left over, the aftermath, and then 症. So trauma, aftermath, condition. Last one, we have anxiety. 焦慮症. 焦慮 is 焦急嘅焦, which means very impatient and worried. 焦急. 慮 means to worry. Okay, so impatient, worry, and then we put that together and we get anxiety. Now let's go to the next slide. We're going to go to slide 7. Oh, wait, one more thing I almost forgot to mention. It's really important. So when we use Chinese to talk about conditions, it's very important to be mindful of what verb we use it for. Always use the word 有, which means to have, instead of 係. Okay, you don't want to use the word 係 because that's very labeling. It's just simply glazing over a person's identity when you are talking to that person. That it really does make a difference in what verb we choose. So when we use the word 有, it means that you have versus where you are. Because then, particularly for Cantonese, when we say you are crazy, then it is very harsh. Okay, and we do use this as like a derogatory or mean condescending way to like, to have a fight or to argue with someone. 大家好熟啦, and I'm not gonna say anything here, but you see, instead of like, I don't want you guys to take my recording of like me saying all these mean things. I'm just using them elsewhere. No, I'm kidding. So I don't think we need to talk about that, but then just be mindful of use 有 instead of 係. Okay? And we'll talk about all these sentence structures later. So what do we have on slide 7? We have describing the extent of sickness. So in Chinese, we say 形容病情. 形容 means to describe. And 病情, so the extent of the sickness or the situation in a way, So let's go through the table first. To say severe is 嚴重, 嚴重. Mild is 輕度, 輕度. High functioning is 高功能, 高功能. Hidden 隱性, 隱性. Last one. The degree or extent. 程度, 程度. Let's take all these words apart before we talk about the sentence structure that we can possibly use with this. So for severe, 嚴重 also means serious, okay? 嚴重. Mild is 輕度. And I remember the word 度, like the point or extent or degree. So light degree or light extent, then we have the word mild. 輕, right? 輕度. High functioning. So function is 功能. To be high functioning is 高功能. Hidden is 隱性. 隱性. So 隱 means hidden, and then 性 is the word that we use to attach any adjective to a noun when we put it together as a larger noun. So 隱性, and 性 essentially means type or kind, and to help specify what adjective that you're attaching to that noun to make a bigger noun, okay? Last one, degree or extent. So this noun is 程度. 程度. So this is the only noun out of the whole list. The rest are all adjectives, okay, or stative verbs. Should I specify them as stative verbs? So when we use it, aside from 程度, all the ones above do not need the word 係 because with the subject or object, because then this is talking about an adjective. So if you look at the answer, we can simply just use subject plus, and then we modify or we specify how much of the adjective we are talking about, the intensity of it, specify the intensity by using words like 好 or 很 or 非常 太, or use the opposite 唔係好, right, to say that it's not very. So for example, his 佢嘅憂鬱症 is depression. 好嚴重, very severe, very serious. Or another one could be 呢個小朋友 this child 嘅焦慮症 anxiety 唔係好 not very 嚴重 severe. It's not very severe. So we can flip it and say not very 唔係好嚴重. Now let's look at the question. Question we have here is subject plus 有幾 how, okay, it means how, or 有多. Okay, so typically in Cantonese we do say 有幾 instead of 有多. But when we write, we do say 有多. We write 有多. Say 有幾 more. If we could ask 呢個小朋友嘅憂鬱症有幾嚴重啊? How severe is this child's depression? Or 你嘅焦慮症有多嚴重? How serious is your anxiety? And then go ahead, mix and match everything. It all works out. Some of the stuff is, it might be a little bit hard because in high functioning, typically we do attach it to another condition to make a bigger noun to specify what kind of depression or condition anxiety it is. So that one might be a little bit different. We can't really say how high functioning it is because it might not be applicable, but then sentence structure wise, it works the same because it is an adjective. Now, let's go along to slide 8 and let's look at when problems arise. So, 當問題出現的時候，當問題出現的時候, okay, when problems arise. So some of these we put together as potential words that you might hear all the time, but then you might not be using them every day. So we just thought we'd organize into like a quick list. So mental breakdown is, again, 精神, right? 精神崩潰精神崩潰係啊潰唔容易讀 right? It's not easy to say 潰. Look at the second one. Trigger. Word trigger is 刺激刺激. Trauma is 創傷創傷. Okay. Suicide is 自殺自殺. Self-harm is 自殘自殘. Symptoms is 症狀症狀. History of condition or like medical history essentially is 病歷病歷. Last one. Diagnosis 診斷診斷. So again, let's take these words apart and let's look at how we can think of them to make it easier for us to remember. So 精神崩潰, first one. 精神 again, mental. 崩潰 is when 崩 means when an object tip or edge breaks. Okay? 崩, for example, like they個碗崩咗. When your bowl chips, the edge of it chipped, then that's what you can say. 崩. Okay? It applies to any object that has like an edge or a point, like a mountain, cliff. You can use that 崩 in that way. Now 潰 means to disintegrate, okay, or to break down. 潰爛, it means to break down, disintegrate, come apart, fall apart. Okay, 潰爛, particularly when you're talking about like something that is disintegrating. Okay. Trigger is 刺激. T is the word for to prick. Okay. 激 means to set off in a way. Okay. It's more of like a word that is more intangible. Okay. Not necessarily to like set off a bomb or anything, but it's more like an emotion. You're setting off someone's emotion, and usually an anger emotion. Tikik, or to ripple that. Okay. Tikik. Trauma is chong. Sung means pain, hurt. Suicide, very self-explanatory. Ji means self. Sat means to kill. Self-harm, same thing. Ji, self. And then tan is to damage. Symptom, 症状. 症 means bang, 症, or anything that is medical and condition-wise. And then 状 means like the present situation or the present 现状或状, how it is, the present form. History of condition or medical history. This one is very straightforward. This one's just bang. Illness, like, which means history. So sick, history. Diagnosis, 诊斷. So 診, this 診 means clinical, and then 斷 is decision or conclusion. So clinical conclusion means diagnosis. Not hard, right? As long as you break down the words, you find them a lot more easier to remember. And something that I find that's really helpful when I teach is that when you guys are presented with really large words in Chinese, break it apart. Use whatever way to help you remember them. And best way is to think of other subset vocabulary words for each big word. So let's go to slide 9, and we're going to keep going with the vocabulary. This one's the last vocabulary slide, and then afterwards we have a short activity to help everyone try and apply these words. So the title of this one is If Sick, Seek a Doctor, and essentially is a very common Chinese phrase. 病向淺中醫, 病向淺中醫. And we say it all the time to anyone, particularly those who are unwilling to go see a doctor because they might be afraid or something, or they don't want to go see it. So this is kind of like a way to encourage someone to go see a doctor if you're not feeling well. Okay, positive. Let's start from the first one. Seeking help. We can say 求醫, 求醫. Proper care. 適當治療. 適當治療. Self-care. 照顧自己. 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 Awesome. Psychologist. 心理醫生. 心理醫生. Psychiatrist. 精神病醫生. 精神病醫生. Now there's another way to say psychiatrist, and it is 精神科醫生. 精神科醫生. Okay, we're looking at the next one. A professional. 專家專家 Family therapy 家庭治療家庭治療 Bring that tone down, okay? 療 okay, remember tone 4 療 Last one, marriage therapy 婚姻治療婚姻治療 So that brings us to close for our vocabulary. And let's break this one apart too. So seeking help. When we say seeking help, we obviously mean seek medical help, okay, when we translate to Chinese. So yi is medical attention, medical help. Yi for yi sung, okay, go yi, that yi. Kawa is the word essentially to ask for, okay, to seek. Proper care. Proper is sikdong. Sikdong. You can also translate that as appropriate. And then care is 治療, which also means therapy. Okay, so if you were to translate this, it would also mean appropriate therapy, and that would be proper care. Okay, because 治療 is a very medical word. It means to, I want to say therapy, but I've already used that word. So 治療, when you say it's 醫治嘅治, okay? 醫治 means to heal, and then 療養 means to to provide medical attention, okay, and recover. 治療 self-care. This one is a word, I guess, that's popped up in recent years, right? So what we say in Cantonese or in Chinese is to take care. 照顧, okay, 照顧 yourself. 自己 so take care of yourself. Psychologist 心理醫生 so 心理醫生 from this definition indicates psychologist. So there's a difference between psychiatrist and psychiatrist. We say it as 精神病醫生, or to remove the stigma of 病, we could also say 科. 科 means type or of that department or that field of study. Okay, 科 depends on what context used. Okay, so 科精神科醫生 also means specialty too. Okay, 專科, right? 專科醫生. Now, if you want to say professional, is 專家. 專means itself, like designated. That's what 專 means, designated, specialty. Family therapy, 家庭治療. And like before, 治療 is that word for therapy, means 醫治療養, medical attention. And same with marriage therapy, is just using the same word 治療 for therapy, and we switch out either 家庭 for family or marriage for 婚姻. Same thing. So just use it appropriately. I'm sure you guys might come across different words that also uses the word therapy. Then you can just simply put the two together, and you would, or whatever subject or whatever it is, okay, might be speech therapy or something. And then you can just apply 治療 in place of therapy. And then that's how a lot of words are translated between Chinese and English. So once you guys get the hang of this, like I said, try to absorb all the parts of the word as much as possible. You guys find learning very quickly. Now, so I'm going to just quickly check the chat to see if there are any burning questions. And then if not, then we're going to do the mini activity, okay? Would you say 佢嘅亞氏保加症幾多程度? No, because then you would not use the word 程度 with 幾多. So you would use 幾多 with the adjective, right? So you would say 有幾嚴重 or 幾輕度, how severe or how light it is. If you're asking 佢個程度係乜嘢啦, it's not quantifiable by a number. That's why you don't use the word 幾多. You can't measure it by 1, 2, 3, like that. So it's a little bit hard to talk about intangible measurements, right? So when in times like that, always try to flex back to that sentence pattern with an adjective. 有幾輕,有幾重. Is it heavy or is it light kind of thing? Because we want to describe it with adjectives. You don't measure something intangible like a mental illness with numbers, or it's not very easily quantifiable. You have to describe it instead. Okay, I'm gonna look at another question. Can you read A plus subject and words? Yes, I can. Did I miss it? I'm so sorry. Okay, 1 second. So A, the subject. So you can put anything like pronoun or a person, proper noun, or you can put like any object, a regular noun. And then to specify the extent of it or how intense it is, use 好, 很, 非常, very, 太, too much, too, and then you input the adjective. So if you're just taking, we can just break it down as simple as possible and use a very simple subject. 佢 he 非常嚴重 very severe. Or you want to say mild. 佢好輕度 it's very mild. Or you want to say something's very hidden. 呢個係好隱性. 呢個好隱性. And then usually you can attach a different noun because like I mentioned before, hidden, you can use that 性 to attach it with any noun to make it a bigger noun, like a more complex noun. So it might be depression, it might be anxiety, whatever that you find applicable from like the conditions, and you can attach it there. 隱性憂鬱症, 隱性焦慮症, etc. etc. 精神分裂 is basically when you have 2 or more, I guess, personalities. I think it's called multi-personality disorder. I'm MPD. I don't know the exact one, but then 精神分裂 is when you have multiple personalities that come out of you. Okay. 抑鬱症. 抑鬱症 is depression. Someone talked about the bipolar condition. So off the chart, yes, it does reinforce stereotypes. So the thing that I've noticed with, first of all, it's very hard for other languages to catch up with the changes that English makes to the medical vocabulary. I've noticed that like we often use words that fall behind the English vocabulary. Like English is already very forward with removing stigma and stuff like that. By constantly changing the name to updating them to the most kindest words. But unfortunately, Chinese does not catch up, or other languages does not catch up as quickly, and we are using sometimes really dated ideas, particularly about mental health. So hopefully, I don't know how many of us here work in the mental health field, but hopefully some of us can make those changes and to update, remove that stigma from our language, because then it's very hard, very hard to talk to Asians, talk to Chinese people about the subject, right? Multiple personality disorder. Thank you. I did get kind of right. I was a little bit close. Dissociative identity disorder. Awesome. Thank you.抑鬱症的程度. Okay, any more questions? If no more questions, we're going to use the last 10 minutes to do the thing. Do the mini activity. So, mini activity is very mini. There's only 2 slides. So, 睇下大家咧嗰個 translation 點啊? How's everyone's translating skills? So, if we are looking at this, first sentence is, I think everyone needs to release their stress in a healthy way. Let's think about how we would, oh yeah, by the way, guys, you guys can talk. We'll do as much editing out as possible, but I want you guys to give it a shot. Just try and say if you guys can do the translating together. So let's try to translate this together as a class. I'm not sure if my animations are showing up if you guys see the Chinese word, but how would we translate this? I think everyone, Yan needs to release their stress in a healthy way. I Sandy? Mm-hmm. What's the word for release? 放松 means to relax. Doesn't mean to release. If you release your muscle, it means you're relaxing that muscle. But you can't relax your stress. You want to release your stress, right? Because in a Chinese perspective, in Chinese grammar perspective, stress is something that you have or you don't have. So how do you release that and let it leave you? 大家有冇聽過呢個字發泄啊？壓力咧係要發泄嘅。So 發泄咧 means 即係發開或 like to evaporate 發 that kind of 發。Yes, it is 空氣發出個發 ，OK？ 放鬆係唔可以咯 ，in a way，because technically， 如果你放鬆咗你壓力，但係你個壓力仲喺度咧 that means it doesn't really make sense in a grammar way, in a Chinese grammar way。因為壓力咧 is 你有或你冇。You either have it or you don't have it. You can't really relax it because then that means you still have stress. That's the Chinese grammar perspective of it, okay? So the correct word is 發泄, or you can say 釋放, which also means to release, okay? 釋放. So the answer here is, whoever that's streaming, click a click. 我認為 or 我覺得都可以啊。我認為人人都要用一個健康的方法發泄壓力。It is a little bit negative, but when you're using it with stress, because stress is negative, then the double negative kind of counteracts itself, so it's positive. Because then, like, you're talking about, like, 你唔可以發泄喺我身上嗰度咧 means like you can't let out the negative energy on me. But when you're just simply letting out negative energy or a negative thing, then that is actually becomes a positive word, unless you're directing it at someone. 人人都要用 everyone needs to use a healthy way. 都要用一個健康的方法。都可 You can use that. So the sentence would be 我認為人人都要用一個健康的方法釋放壓力。釋放 means to let go, okay, to release. Now, 釋放does have a more calmer connotation to it than 發泄. 發泄 is more like letting it go very strongly, quickly, and like just boom. Okay, 發泄. 釋放 can mean 慢慢釋放出嚟, slowly, very gently. So doesn't mean that literally, but like I'm just trying to paint the picture of like the difference between the two words in terms of context wise. Okay, so let's look at number 2. Even though life can be very busy, you still need to take care of yourself. Even though. How do you say even though? 雖然。生命 is life, but as in like you can say 人生。生活 is correct. 生命 means life as in like a life. Like a life of a something that's alive. So 生活 生活乜嘢啊 ？Can be very busy。可能。好忙。Second half. Do you guys know what 雖然 is normally paired with? One more time. 但係冇錯啦，叻叻。但係乜嘢啊？照顧自己。Good. So TA 唔該 click 一 click. So 呢個咧 I did extend the whole sentence a little bit. So the sentence is 雖然生活很繁忙，繁忙 is how we say busy, okay? 但是你要好好照顧自己，跟住我再加一個的心理健康 your own mental health. So I extended the sentence, but feel free to keep it what you guys did today, like just now. I think that's actually awesome. 雖然生活好忙，但係你都要好好照顧自己，呢個就係 very perfect 㗎啦，okay? So let's look at the last slide. If you have these symptoms, it could be insert mental health condition. So I'm going to leave this up to you guys. Let's see what we can come up with, okay? So 我俾咗你哋嘅咧就係 if 如果 and 可能是 which in Cantonese is 可能係咁有冇人可以咧做一個句子啊 Anyone want to give this one a shot to make the whole sentence on its own? Including mental health condition example. Don't be shy. Anything works. For symptoms is 症狀. You can say 病徵 as well. Interchange.叻女. 有冇其他人想試下? Does anyone else want to try? What does anxiety have? Okay, can we think about anxiety? Like saying negative things to yourself? How can we translate that a little bit better? Does someone else say something? Saying negative things to yourself. So being negative and to not show any value to something, okay, not yourself, is 貶低. 貶低, cousin, 貶低 for 低 value, okay, low value. 貶低. So what we can say is 同自己講貶低自己嘅說話. Saying words or phrases that lowers our own self-value. 貶低自己嘅說話. 好，如果你咁樣講，如果你同自己講貶低自己嘅說話，可能係焦慮症。可能係焦慮症。Is this one helpful? Do you like the sentence structure? 如果 symptoms 跟住可能係 and then mental health condition. Easy to grasp, right? But hard. But you guys might need to know a little bit more Chinese words in terms of symptoms and how to describe things. So 呢個你哋要自己慢慢學啦。呢個我覺得係有啲好多嘢㗎。咁除咗即係咩，我哋當然可以簡單啲入手啦。We can do it from a simpler perspective, just learning about different emotions. I think that's a great place to start. 開心，如果你成日都唔開心，你成日都喊，你體重突然之間下降 ，your weight went down，可能你係憂鬱症 ，stuff like that. Okay. Now, let's do number 2. Even though I do not completely, exactly understand you right now, but I want you to know I am here to help you with all I can. Both make sense. So if you say 可能你有, it does sound a little bit nicer. It obviously a little bit context dependent, but it might be a little bit kinder to say, oh, you might have, okay? Instead of just saying, oh, it might be, like kind of thing. This is a little bit different, very subtle. So very context situational dependent, but both works, okay? Okay, let's do number 2. Even though I do not completely, exactly understand you right now, but I want you to know that I am here to help you with all I can. So here I've given you guys 雖然我乜乜乜乜，但是乜乜乜乜，盡我會所能幫助你。Mm-hmm. It does make sense. What's after though? Can't just leave me hanging. Tia 有冇 click 啊？ You click it. 雖然我唔係完全明白你，因為我寫咗理解啦，because 理解 is another way of saying understanding. 但係我想你知道，我會盡我所能幫助你。I will help you with all I can. 但係我想你知道，我會盡我所能幫助你。盡 means by entirely. 盡力 all my effort. 盡我所能 like all my ability, all of my ability. 盡我所能. So that's a good safety to keep in mind, okay? 盡我所能. 盡 means all. Entire. So when you say 盡頭啦, doesn't mean all your head. It means the very end of the path. 盡我所能, 盡 yeah, definitely. 我會盡力幫你，完全可以。Oh yeah, keep it easy. I put the more longer one so like we have different, I guess like more to play around with. Okay. Now, last one. Many people do not know much about mental illnesses. How do we translate that? What we have on the table is 很多人不但對乜乜乜沒有乜乜。很多人不但對乜嘢沒有乜嘢啊？心理病不但沒有認識。Okay, so 呢個咧係 supposed 係加多個嘅。Not only do many people do not know much about mental illnesses， 好多人不但對精神病沒有認識，還對精神病有誤解。They also have misunderstandings about mental illnesses。對精神病有誤解 misunderstanding。Okay, so 有誤解。So this one is not on the slide。有誤解。誤解 means to misunderstand。means mistake 個誤。誤會個誤解係了解嘅解 to understand。誤解 you put it together。誤會了解誤解 put it together。Easy? Hard? So on the next slide, I have extra resources. When I was looking up stuff, I found a dictionary, like a really good glossary of helpful mental health terms. They do go really in depth. I think it is in simplified Chinese if anyone is, I guess, looking for that. I'm not sure if they have a traditional Chinese one. I was also looking up this YouTube video. There's also a Hong Kong psychiatrist who talks about the difference between 清水饼 and 清十饼. And then if you guys want any of the Chinese, I guess a Chinese video to talking about more about this is a good place to start. Now, I'm going to draw the session to a close. We are a little bit over time, so sorry. But if you guys like what you guys had today, do support and let me know what you guys might potentially want next time. We haven't decided the next topic yet, but then we are always open to more feedback. We do have a feedback form, I think, on one of the earlier slides. Go ahead, don't be a stranger. Tell us what you think. Always happy to improve, because then this is how SU got to this point. Because so many of you guys gave feedback, give helpful construction, and then this is a very community-based project. So don't be a stranger, even just to say hi, okay, to me and the TAs. So I'm going to leave you like that. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. And have a good night, okay?